maybe.
All right, I did get a chance to take in Scream 4 this weekend after spending the week watching Scream 1, 2, and 3. So I revisited the franchise and then watched Scream 4. And my review of Scream 1, 2, and 3 are on the website. The official review of Scream 4 on the website is done by our horror guy, Doc Rotten. And Doc Rotten pretty much said, no. He said, there are parts of it that are entertaining, but at this point, the movie has become kind of a shell. It's not really, it's now more parody and self-parody even. I mean, you gotta remember that Scream not only prompted Scream 2 and Scream 3, but it also brought about the Scary Movie movies.
Yeah.
The opening is always key in the Scream movies to me. And I think the opening of the first Scream movie really got people's attention when they weren't afraid to kill off a major actress in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
An actress that a lot of us thought starred in the movie was dead. And it adds in that fear of she gets killed and her parents are listening on the line. They're listening from the house. She's on the house phone and they can't find her and they're listening to her being killed. And that really kind of goes to like this cultural primal fear. Second movie, people killed in a movie theater. Out in the middle of public, people watching. That goes into that primal fear type thing. Third movie, he's on the phone and the killer is at his girlfriend's house and basically saying, if you don't get my questions right, I'm going to kill her. And at the same time is framing him, making it look like he's the one who's going to attack her. Again, really excellent idea. Fourth movie gets too meta. It actually has 3 opening sequences, one within each other because of the whole stab concept, the fact that the events of Scream inspired movies within their movie world called Stab. And the opening, it's like they didn't know how to make a cool opening again. And so they went with making it as just ridiculous as they could. And in the end, that's a disappointment. And the problem is, and Doc Rotten called this right, he and I chatted through email, they never recover from that. Now,
ouch.
The idea of Scream 4 is supposed to be a reboot. Without it being the new Scream or something, it's along the lines of having a new Nightmare on Elm Street or a new Friday the 13th. New group of kids, and of course you do have the older group come back. You have Deputy Dewey, who's now Sheriff, played by David Arquette. You have Gail Weathers Riley, who's married to Dewey now, played by Courtney Cox. And you have Neve Campbell's Sidney Prescott returning to Woodsboro for the 10th year anniversary of the original events that happened in an effort to kind of shill her new book, which is called Out of Darkness, which talks about her deciding not to be a victim anymore. Unfortunately, when she returns to Woodsboro, the murders start back up. And you have a new group of kids, and the new group of kids, archetypally, are very connected to the original. So you have of Sidney's cousin, who is a very Sidney-esque figure. You have the film geek, who knows all the rules of the reboot. You have the big, tough boyfriend who spends a lot of the time of the movie looking like he's the killer, which makes sense because in the original Scream, he was. Sorry if that's a spoiler. 15 years since the first movie came out. Feel like I can kind of go there.
Yeah.
The problem is that the first movie set the bar so high that it's been hard for it to reach that bar again. We do have a return to the self-aware kind of wink-wink idea of the movies, of these are the rules, we're going to stick to them, we're going to make sure you know the rules, and it does take into account the way that time and culture has changed since the original Scream movies. You have Facebook, you have cell phones with apps on them, you have a real progression of technology that both the killer and the kids can use. But it's not enough. Personally, I really liked it. Doc Rotten felt like it became too much of a parody. I thought some of the killings were really impressive. There's a Rear Window-esque killing where they're watching from across the street, but they can't do anything. There's a couple of scenes that are very referential back to the first Scream. And I like the fact that the self-referential stuff is in there, the fact that they're willing to lay down the rules, the fact that the characters are very archetypally connected to the original Scream characters. My problem is they didn't take it far enough. They do a really good job of capturing this gimme, gimme, gimme mentality of the kids nowadays, but they don't take it far enough. It's almost as if they were afraid to go the extra mile and take the franchise in a really cool direction. They said this was supposed to reboot the franchise with a new set of movies. I don't see how they can do it. It feels like it's one more of the existing Scream franchise, which makes sense since it's Scream 4. But I don't see another movie coming out of this. They don't go in anything new with the direction. And they have the opportunity to, and they're right on the bitter edge of being able to do it. And it's like they chickened out. And that's really disappointing. Going to write up an end fail on the site this week about the end, where they could have gone that would have made it original. It's not nitpicking the end in the way that I usually do with the end fails. I liked it more than Doc Rotten. I thought it was one of the better chapters of the Scream movies, but I'm not the diehard horror fan that he is, so I give it 3.5 stars. He gave it 2 stars, so I give it 3.5 stars. So I liked it more than, but I do agree that they could have taken it farther. I agree with Doc Rotten's review. I just liked it more than he did.
So 3.5 and?
And webcam.
Okay.
I kind of dig the one character they have who's like, he like broadcasts his life, and he has a little headset unit on with a little webcam coming off the side, and he has that on all the time. And I'm like, that would be kind of cool. Not that I want to broadcast my whole life, but like for this, that would be cool for me to have that camera and be able to look at you, and everybody kind of sees what we're doing that way. So anyway, I still say it's worth seeing. I enjoyed it. I think there's an audience out there for it. But I do agree with what Doc Rotten has to say about it. I don't think he makes any points that are wrong. I don't disagree with his opinion. I just liked it as a whole more than he did. But I think he's right. It stumbles from the very beginning, and it doesn't quite catch its feet from there.
That is always